Morning, third graders. A warm welcome to today's lesson. This week we began reading lesson 17, the Albertosaurus Mystery, and this lesson's objective is to teach you how you can use interesting and convincing details to support an opinion, whether you are stating it orally or in a written form. So please do not forget to pause this video and replay it for better understanding. Alright, grade 3, so let's look into how you can add supporting details. And on this slide, you can see a mind map or a graphic organizer where supporting details is your main star, and the examples you see around are ways that you can add supporting details. So the first thing you can do is, let's start from 12 o'clock up over there, personal observation and experiences. So when you add your personal observations and experiences into your written work, it gives a supporting details that elaborates your writing and makes it perfect. The second thing you can do is you can use facts, scientific facts or facts that you research about on a given topic. You can add those. So these are your supporting details. Are your opinions and statistics. Statistics and numbers, figures that you might want to research and quote to convince the reader, right? And examples. So all of these here are your supporting details. Don't worry, we're going to look into it shortly by looking at some examples. Grade 3, on this slide, we're going to talk about what else can you do to make your writing pop. So in the last slide, we spoke about adding supporting details, right? On this slide, I want you to know that when you want to catch the eye of a reader and you've written a piece of work, right, you want to make sure that the beginning has to be very, very amusing. You want to make sure that the reader continues reading till you make a point and convince the reader about your opinion. So that can only happen if the reader continues reading. So the first opening sentence or the topic sentence or the first paragraph, the way you structure your sentences is the key. We've spoken about this in the class as well. So here I'm sharing some ways you can achieve that. The first thing I've mentioned is, instead of just beginning with a proper noun, for instance, James felt miserable and locked himself in the room the whole day, you could begin with the verb. And you could rephrase your sentence down below. I've given you an example like this. Feeling miserable, comma, James locked himself in the room the whole day. So it gives a good impression to the reader that your written text is strong. Let's look what else you can do. You could begin with an adverb. For instance, these two sentences in blue here. Let me read these out for you. Susie searched for her wallet frantically, right? So what you can do is you could take frantically and place it in the beginning of the sentence. That's your adverb with a li, then put a comma and write the sentence this way: frantically, Susie searched for her wallet. Let's look at what else you can do. So instead of writing just a normal sentence with a proper noun or a noun in the beginning, you could begin with to. To her horror, the spider landed on her head, right? So that's another technique. The fourth one I've mentioned here is when you begin with a prepositional phrase. Let me just read the example out for you. Prepositions are basically words like on, with, over, under. So let's read this. Everyone had a great time at the party, right? You see that word at, right? That's your preposition. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to begin with a prepositional word in the beginning, and I'm going to rephrase this sentence like this. At the party, comma, everyone had a great time. So these are just some examples that I'm giving in so that you can make your writing stronger. Please open up your R&B books to page number 19. You can see that the focus trait is to elaborate by adding interesting and supporting details. Now, we know that good writers are able to elaborate their ideas by adding details, right? Let's read these two sentences here, weak details, and the other one that has interesting details, and then let's decide which sentence is more interesting. So I want you to pause this video and read through both of these sentences. Great, so I'm assuming that you did. So the question is, which sentence do you think is more interesting? Obviously, the second one with all these interesting details that computers can be a big help doing some tasks, but it's important to do more than just sit in front of a monitor all day. How about getting outside and playing with friends? See the difference. Look at the way the sentence began. Look at the facts that were added. Look at the opinion of the writer. Definitely, the interesting detail sentence is more eye-catching. So that's exactly what we're going to practice next. Now let's look at what is being asked from us on page number 19, and the instructions are to read each sentence, revise sentences so they include more interesting details. I want you to pause each and every time before I give you the answers and try adding details yourself and then compare them. Great, so the first sentence is cafeteria food is not very good. Firstly, very good, not very good, are very basic terms, and we've spoken about the wow words, right? So we need to use much better vocab now that we're in grade 3 and try to improve our writing. So I want you to pause for a moment, attempt at this, and then I'll share how I changed it and added details, interesting details. Great, so I'm assuming that you tried. Now check out, the opinion stays the same, but the entire sentence is more catchy. Let's read it. I've changed the beginning, and then I've stated my opinion, and then I've also given a choice to the reader, like what can be an alternate. So let's read. Food in our cafeteria is reasonable, but a lot of it isn't good for you. We should have healthier choices to choose from. Right? You see how the sentence sounds much better than the one that was given to us? And we've revised it well. Let's try the second sentence here on this page. I think school sports are great. Okay, so let's just make the beginning a bit more interesting. And let's add details and state facts. Maybe we can add a scientific fact to the sentence because we're talking about sport. I can relate to exercise in this regards. Try attempting at this and try adding details, and then I'll reveal my answer. Great, so I'm assuming that you tried. This is my revised edition of the same sentence. And look at the way I started, right? I know some students don't like playing school sports, comma. Then I join another sentence, but this is an indicator. The words like but, however, these are indicators that an opinion is about to take place. So, but I think it's a great way to learn to work as a team. Full stop. So you're adding details, evidence why you think school sports are great, and then let's put in a fact. Exercise is beneficial for both the brain and the body. You see how the sentence dramatically changes and will be able to convince the reader to your opinion. Let's try the last one on this page. Third one, I think homework should be more fun. I'm sure all of you think the same, right? Now, how can you change this sentence by adding more details so that the reader gets convinced about your opinion? Try, and then I'll reveal the answer. Great, this is how I've changed it. Try adding some good words. Try attempting at giving the reader a reason to believe in your opinion. So this is how I've converted the sentence with more details. So let's read it out. Teachers and parents think homework helps us learn. Okay, so you just start with a generalized sentence. However, I think homework could be more fun if it is based on activities that include. Then I got examples, right? Because I want my reader to get convinced and I want to support details into convincing the reader about my opinion. So look at the details and the examples: crafts and art, outdoor play, computer activities, philanthropy, and social work. You see how the sentence changes dramatically and sounds more convincing. Great, grade 3. So now remember that you learn to write when you read. So here is a very important quote. I believe if you want to improve your writing, you need to work on your reading. And reading and writing work together. So don't forget to pause this video and also read this quote. Great, so please don't forget to finish your work today on page number 19. If you have any other details that you can add to the sentence, please do so. You're not bounded by what is being taught to you. Go out, explore, and add more convincing details to these sentences that I've shared with you. Best of luck, grade 3.